Hello, this is Richard Peers from Finextra TV, and I'm a part of our Unplugged series today. I'm interviewing Professor Maurizio Zollo, who's from the Imperial College Business School and also the head of the Leonardo Center. Good afternoon to you today. How are you today?
Good afternoon to you, Richard. Thank you. Thank you. Really
Thanks
well.
for joining us. I enjoyed the conference that you guys ran, which was Beyond Sustainability, Reinventing the Purpose of Business. And I was minded of the Business Roundtable, People, Profit and Planet announcements. Everything you spoke about in the conference was interesting. And so I wanted to share that with our audience today. Tell us a bit more about you, how you got to Imperial College and what you're doing with the Leonardo Center.
Well, thank you. I'm the scientific director of this new center that is dedicated to reinventing business for societal purpose, basically, right? To rethink about how business can create value for society. But I am a strategy and sustainability professor, so I'm looking at this problem from a purely strategic standpoint. And I joined Imperial about a year ago, so the center is brand new, and we're now gearing up the partnership that we want to establish with companies to create an innovation and experimentation program.
And as I understand, the purpose of the center, what you're trying to do is to really understand or help organizations understand what they need to do across the whole spectrum of change. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so first of all, the logic of a stakeholder-centered enterprise goes way beyond just the statement of purpose, which is what we've heard, for instance, from the roundtable, and even we talked about at Davos this year quite a lot. In fact, even the notion of stakeholder capitalism is now being discussed more and more. The complexity comes in all the various other aspects of the company that go much more in depth once you shift the purpose towards creating value for stakeholders. That means that all the other aspects like governance, strategic decision making, incentive systems, control systems, every functional area, right? They need to be redesigned in order to incorporate the inputs and the voice and obviously the interests of the specific stakeholders with which they're working, whether it's the employees or the customers or the suppliers or the local communities or the investors.
Right.
There is a fundamental challenge to innovate and experiment, because we don't know, quite frankly, what is a stakeholder-centered enterprise today? What should it look like when we actually think about the details and the complexity across all the functional areas of the firm?
Right. I noticed in your slides, you did obviously take a look at a sort of theoretical model of maturity model, almost, if you will, of change from where we are to where we need to get to. And then clearly one of the interesting things for me was that you've done a lot of work to do data analysis around corporate disclosures to get to a baseline for that maturity model. Tell us a bit more about what you did there.
Sure. Basically the key idea is to use data science, NLP and machine learning to identify the initiatives, the actual behavior that companies disclose in their sustainability reports. And if you multiply that across all the sustainability reports that are available on the internet, right? We analyzed 100,000 of them. We have a data set of 5.5 million initiatives that are categorized according to their goal, right? So, and we've used the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and also in terms of their behavior, what exactly the companies have done in order to contribute to that goal and obviously to change to some extent either their engagement with stakeholders, external or internally how they operate. That creates a matrix of goals and behavior that is actually a really powerful tool. Essentially, you can think about it if you have all the initiatives accumulated, launched by a company over the years. I'll give you an example. Shell has launched something like 1,800 initiatives over the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Now, all of them, in this framework of goals and behaviors, constitute, in a way, a portfolio of initiatives that can be analyzed in terms of, for example, across all the companies in the same energy sector, in order to identify not only where they are, characterize their behavior, where they are on the financial performance and non-financial performance dimensions, right? That's easy to do and can do it even today. But the important point is that now we can actually understand why. What is it that they have done? Is there anything special in what they have done in those sustainability initiatives that help them systematically to be, on the high of that quadrant, right? To outperform essentially competitors on both financial and non-financial performance.
Right. So you've done the volume of data to give you that analysis.
Yeah.
And that gives you, if you will, on your maturity model, gives you the benchmark against the
so that's the first thing, is the benchmark. The second is actually an optimal portfolio, right?
Yeah.
We can actually estimate what is the optimal portfolio of initiatives. So, for example, companies in the energy sector, how should they allocate their efforts across all the sustainable development goals? And that's one. And the second is, for each sustainable development goal, say climate change or gender or whatever, what is the optimal allocation of efforts across all the various actions, right? Training programs, communication, internal change, engagement. There are all sorts of things that can be done. And that is, to me, the most interesting part, because you go beyond just benchmarking, right? You can actually have the, if you want, the North Star, for which every company in the sector, whether they are already at the frontier today or not, to improve even more their sustainability.
And I always like these sort of North Star comparisons in a way, because you're giving people a reference point. But then what you want to do, as I understand it, is go in and, if you will, do experimentation with corporates with those blueprints, so that you can give them not just a North Star, but also a kind of turn-by-turn navigation system specifically for their business.
Together with the company. See, that's the exciting thing about talking about experimenting. We're not talking about labs here, right? We're talking about doing an experiment in the organization, right, of the company, to try with pilot project, essentially, what would it be like if we change the governance system or the incentive systems and so on, right? Control, right? All the various pieces of the engine in order to accommodate, to integrate the interest of stakeholders. That piece, we have already started to do some of that, but there's, we're really at the beginning. I mean, clearly academia is only started, business academia is only starting to do real experiment with organizations. And that's where we really need to establish a strong partnership with companies who are serious about this.
Fantastic. So you guys will, just to conclude, you'll go in, help with the experimentation, and you don't come with a sort of a commercial lens on it, really, a particular technology lens or whatever. You're really trying to bring this in to move the whole process forward. And so what's in it for Imperial college? I guess it's part of your, it enhances your body of work and research and for the student
Well,
engagement.
there are three things. One is the development of knowledge and understanding of the process itself, the transition, the transformational processes. That's clearly really important for us. The second is translate this not only in programs for students, but also in executive education. In fact, we are developing with executive education. We want to work with today's managers, not only tomorrow's managers, okay? And the third, I think it is really a question of impact, right?
Yeah.
We as Imperial College want to actually contribute to make the change, right? To make the business world not only speed up, but actually improve the quality of the experimentation. Right now, there's a lot of companies are trying to do these things in a number of ways, but unfortunately, they're not always well connected in a strategic plan. You see, that is the real issue. You know, it needs to make sense for the sustainability aspects of the business, but also for the other aspects, for the growth of the business, for the engagement of customers, suppliers, and investors as well. So it's putting it all together that is the real complexity, and that's where we're hoping to be able to offer a solid partnership. Now, there's one technological angle to this, in addition to the decision science, if you want the artificial intelligence application, is that we're thinking to create also a digital platform where companies can actually engage stakeholders. Think about an open innovation logic, right? Where you engage experts on the development of new products. Only that, rather than just developing new product, here the task, of course, is to engage stakeholders to get the sense what are their interests, get them involved in coming up ideation, obviously, with new ideas, testing the new ideas together with them, selecting and testing, and then eventually deploying the ideas throughout the entire organization. All of that can be done, and we're talking to some technology partners to develop this platform that might facilitate all these experimentation that I was talking about before. So it's a
fantastic
meta innovation, if you want.
Brilliant. Well, look, we could talk all day, but I think that's a great point to stop, because what we'll do, I'm sure, is we'll come back to this and we'll learn a bit more about these experiments, how that platform's being used. But for now, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Maurizio, have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It was great.